Let's look at the court of public opinion. And it is public opinion that post-Ivan, a lot of people got shafted. And as a result, the construction industry has a bad name.
That is correct.
They got shafted for whatever reason.
Many people did, yes.
But let's look at it this way.
Okay.
If I had a house to build and somebody come and recognize my need, charge me an exorbitant fee to do that, and it happened post-Ivan, who do I complain to?
No one.
The industry doesn't seem to have any kind of standard or regulation. Am I correct?
Well, no, you're not entirely correct on that, because you see, interestingly enough, while after Ivan, there seemed to be no regulatory body. While after Ivan, the local contractor involved here had Polish workers, white people from Poland, here working, and there was no hullabaloo about them. While now that there has been a parting of the ways here, the Contractors Association or something, a young fella by the name, I believe he's Joseph, turns up, and they've gone to the contractors to discuss this matter. I don't seem to recall that all plumbers and electricians and everyone else was called by the Contractors Association to any meetings. And I find that suspect. Given I had a friend who I used to work with many years ago.
Given our Ivan experience, Madonna, don't you think this is a good opportunity to put some regulations or protocol in place for this particular industry that seem to be having some problems in a level playing field?
Brian, I would say sometimes we make generalized statements that could really affect everybody. I don't think every construction worker gave Grenadians a bad deal.
Some of them did.
Well, some of them did, but we must not feel that it was 100% of them ripped us off. It's not fair to see, you know. And, you know, it baffles me to feel that, because it is the same sentiments you would get around too from the general public, that, well, they gave us a bad deal, so we must what? Put them out of business now? And I say, no, we must be Grenadians, and we must first and foremost be for Grenadians. I am not saying that everybody would have given a bad deal, but those who would have given a bad deal, we say, no, you have to take stock of yourself. Because if I know that you have given me a bad deal, my relatives and friends will know that you have given me a bad deal. So therefore, you will end up in maybe what you call that sort of category that we would not want to employ you again. But everybody did not give a bad deal. I think that most of the workers did their best to help people. Right. You had some persons running from houses to houses to help persons have a roof on their heads, and then they had to come back again to really complete the inside work for some of us. So we must not feel that because some of them got a rough deal, that it's time for them to kind of get them out of the industry. I think that's a wrong way we look at it.
The point I'm getting at, Andrew, is having had that experience and having this public debate that we're now having about international workers, isn't it time that we sit down and put some regulations and a protocol in place so that people can complain to somebody if there's a problem?
Well, I mean, okay, I take Mrs. Harford's point, and in fact, there were some basic plain crooks out there who should really be behind bars. But you can't blame the entire nation or industry for that. And I'll take your point, because frankly, we deliberately, specifically requested of our developer a non-competitive bidding situation that we wanted to go with local labor. In fact, right now, Brian, I have a number of projects going on apart from Grand Harbour. At Egmont, we have construction and stuff going on, all local labor. At Tetmoon, which is across the bay, across the road from Fort Judy, I've just refurbished a building from 1791, all local labor. In Craigston and Carriacou, we're doing work, all local labor. Bruce Street Mall, we're going in, all local labor. Going in Grenville, local labor. So I don't have a problem with local labor. I don't have a problem with local labor. I have used local labor, I mean, exclusively, except if I couldn't.
The question is this the start of something to come? I have heard that the Japanese are now looking at the possibility of bidding on contracts in Grenada. This can be the start of something. Hold on, this is going to be a start. Isn't it important that we put a protocol and some regulations in place now to govern the industry.
I am sure that it is time, and I don't think we have a difference of opinion on that, and it probably is the start of something new, because on Friday I had a call from someone who wanted to come and have a chat with me. They brought a Barbadian contractor in to see me, and what he was telling me was they've done a joint venture, and they're doing earth moving, and the fellow says that he can afford to bring equipment out of the UK and do competitive bidding on earthworks in Barbados. So clearly, this is all part of globalization, and perhaps what it does mean is that we in Grenada have got to sharpen up a little bit. It is a competitive game. We open to the world, and when you open to the world, you either learn from the world and come up to speed, or they eat you.
We have a caller on line, Andrew. Let's take that caller. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good night. I've heard this discussion sometime over the past couple of weeks, right? And there's an item from it that is not being dealt with. And I use the example that when the stadium was being built by the Chinese, right, the project manager came on air or in some interview and indicated that people asked him how many shifts the Chinese do, right? He indicated then, and I'm quoting him, probably not word for word, that there is no shift, that the workers come at 7, they start at 7. I think there is a 1 or 2 hour break around midday, and they work sometimes up to 11, and that there is no overtime and there is no second shift. No. My last reading of the Employment Act said that that is against the law. And if so, right, are the so-called Chinese or international workers, do they have to abide by the laws of Grenada, or are they abiding by the laws of China? Second issue, if they have to abide by the laws of China in Grenada, when they work in Grenada, the last time our workers, Grenadian workers, worked those type of hours without overtime or doing one shift would have been during my great-grandfather's time, which would have been slavery. No. There is no question that the stadium was built on slave labor. There is still slave labor in China. It is still those communist state people, as we always say, and Mr. Bishinsky would definitely agree with me on that, that have the people under their feet and work them. If you don't do the work, you could go to jail, you could be executed. No, I don't know if the workers who worked on the stadium could have gone to jail if they said, look, the hours are too long. No, that is a matter that has not been discussed in this issue at all. They are breaking the law. Are they allowed to break the law, or because of globalization, can I go to China or Trinidad or anywhere and break the law? And I would really like to hear the both speakers on this subject. If the law is being broken, the labor laws are being broken.
Thank you, caller. This is a very important point, and I think we raised it earlier. Madam?
Yes, I would say yes, because we in the Caribbean and in the world, we have, based on the ILO convention, that we have a 40-hour work week. Anything in excess of 40 hours, you talk about overtime. And we know for a fact that the Chinese, they do longer hours. Whether they are part of the ILO or whatever, or whether they adhere to the ILO standards, I am not sure. But based on what took place in Grenada, they work for in excess of a 40-hour work week.
Andrew?